Wait, it's just starting. Okay, we're on. We're live. We're live.
Okay, great.
Okay, so hi everybody. Okay, 0 viewers. Let me just see if I can get some people.
Okay. Well, I'm going to view it just for the heck of it. So
What? What?
I'm going to view it just for the heck of it. So
Okay, you're gonna check to see if it's working.
2 people are watching right now.
Okay. Okay, so for everyone walking, hi. So I am here with a dear friend of mine, Gaslight Studios, who does reenactments and stuff as part of the third. Should I say what regiment or you can?
New Jersey Regiment Fields Company.
Okay, and one interesting thing we've been trying to do a live stream for a while. I don't know if I can. No, I can't. Hold on, let me see if I can get like another thing where I can see the comments if anyone's responding.
Someone just
Yeah.
Patriot Oxo Ken. 3 that we got 3 on now.
Nice.
Great.
Uh,
Oh, but before I forget, I do want to give a shout out to those who one particular YouTuber is Brandon F. He is he's a reenactor with the 54th Regiment of Foot of His Majesty's Army. Same period, American War of Independence. I just would like to give him a shout out. So check out.
okay. 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 So I have it live. Okay. So people are watching.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone who's watching, we are here. One of the topics of the legs was because 2 days ago the 41st president died, and one thing I had floated the idea of, as a matter of fact, um, yeah, I have it. Okay, so one of the things we're trying to do, okay, now that we can look back now, is administration, because so. But what is lesson we were discussing before? We figured out yet what TV station he went after?
Fox.
Oh, Fox.
Yeah, Fox TV, not news.
Fox. Was this before? Was this before? Wait. Oh, this was during. Was this because I thought Fox News was established in 1996.
Yeah, this was before before the conservative part of the network.
Before Rupert Murdoch took over, and it basically just became.
No, Murdoch isn't the problem. It's Ailes.
Oh, Ailes. Oh.
Ailes took over, I believe, in the late '90s, early 2000s. But it's irrelevant to the fact that in between their other comedy shows, they put out The Simpsons, and The Simpsons. I believe that the president. I'm not sure if the Simpsons took a shot at the president.
The Simpsons did do a thing with Bush. Yeah.
What?
The Simpsons did do a thing with Bush.
Yeah, well, he took a pot shot at them, saying that we need to teach our kids like Christian values instead of Simpson values.
Well, anyway, so the one thing I know, like everyone's been like attacking him because like so many people who are, no surprise, probably sympathetic to, who are like a lot of people are somewhat cheering of the fact that he's dead because either he said he was gonna the right wing because he said he was going to forge a new world order, and the left because he ignored because he was part of the Reagan administration and head of the CIA.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, like, Bush killed JFK. I've heard many people say that now. Bush killed JFK.
People say
yeah, Bush killed JFK. Everyone killed JFK. JFK killed JFK. What? Lee Harvey? Oh. But anyway, so
Kennedy.
Another interesting thing, of course, now, of course, people are also attacking him for the war, war crime atrocities committed during, the Gulf War and the invasion of Panama and
Yeah.
But
First,
I,
I think the war crimes were kept relatively at a military level.
the war, what?
The war crimes were kept at a military level, i.e., the military took the hit for them.
Well, you mean, well, yeah, well, I mean, like the Highway of Death and,
Highway of Death was largely a military-run operation. I mean, there was, as far as I'm aware, there wasn't a directive from Washington.
uh, to attack the retreating Iraqi army.
No, that was, I think, primarily Schwarzkopf's idea. Basically, and it was his job, anyways. It was to neutralize the.
Well, I think, yeah. Well, I think it might have been, something historians will debate along the lines of, people will debate, was Truman right in dropping the atomic bomb, and now people say was Bush or Schwarzkopf right in, ordering the attack on the retreating Iraqi army.
But did it did its job.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, if that had happened, the Iraqi army probably would have regrouped and probably tried again.
So, yeah.
And to be fair, they sort of might have tried again.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you think like '94, they nearly tried to retake Kuwait.
There was this went around in the '90s. I believe it was Bill Hicks. This was just post the war. He said that, well, the media went from calling it the elite Republican Guard to the elite Republican Guard to the Republicans just made this shit up about guards being out there.
Oh my
That's
god!
how quickly they folded.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean the I mean the I don't know. I mean the Republican Guard was like a very. It is weird looking at Iraq today and thinking like at one point in time like, oh, they were a force to be reckoned with.
Well, they had the
fourth most powerful army on earth.
Yes, it was something of that nature.
Yeah, like a million men in reserves.
Millions more on the field.
Yeah, well, it isn't like even after like 8 years of war with Iran that they still had like that much of a fight of a force.
Yeah. Okay. Now let me see what else is here. Well,
are you looking at the comments?
No, I wasn't looking at the comments per se. Do you want?
Let me see. Let me see what they say. Let's see what some people are saying.
Is this?
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. What the fuck is this?
Yes.
Someone said
George. Bush. Anyways, anything? Was there anything else? So yeah. There's one interesting thing I read about Reagan. Aside from his, the normal stuff. It is only because I was watching the movie Mississippi Burning the other day.
Yes, because the Ku Klux Klan is here to stay. That's gonna be taken out of context.
That's.
Oh no! Confirmed white supremacist confirmed.
Neshoba County, I believe, in 1979 or 1980, Reagan went to the Neshoba County Fair, and he said something to the effect that states' rights will always prevail against federal government.
Oh my
God! I mean, it's just a very bad move, press relations-wise. If you want to retain control, I mean, anywhere but the South, that would be a horrible press move. If he was talking directly, if he was talking about that. A lot of people think it's a dog whistle speech.
But then, then again, yeah. And then there's also, speaking of which, there's also recently going back to, the recently deceased president, but, there was that, in 1988, there was with the Willie Horton ad. And I've heard many people say it was a racist ad, and the fact that, he in 1964, he voted against the Civil Rights Act, but then he voted in favor of the Civil Rights Act of 1968 when he was in Congress. And like his own district, in Texas hated him for it.
Yeah.
And then it's
Politics is politics. It's all
yeah.
manipulating, playing on people's emotions.
Well, I mean, like Bush.
Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, he vetoed the 1990 Civil Rights Act. He was concerned it would lead to quotas, but he compromised. There was the Civil Rights Act of 1991, which he signed into law. And then, of course, there was no, we're just down to one viewer now. What?
Oh,
well. There was the 1990 Americans with Disabilities Act, which many people was, very big, sweeping piece of legislation in terms of and then
which reminds
what?
As a side note, for those of you who live in the Essex County area, we are attempting to organize a reenactment for the summer of 2020.
Yes, might as well use this as an reenact 240th anniversary of the Battle of Springfield.
And Connecticut Farms.
Yes, the battles of Springfield and Connecticut Farms.
Yeah.
What other elements? That was my main thing. I wanted to my main thing I wanted to do was to talk primarily about his administration. Well, we already talk about the there was also the invasion of Panama, which is interesting because it's like on the one hand, even both the invasion of Panama and the Gulf War in general is the one hand it was 50% this side of the American, United States was, the people, the leader of the United States was fighting, being a genuine threat, and it was 50% just America being a dick in world affairs.
Yeah, Saddam Hussein was not a nice guy.
Well, yeah, in the sense, but also 50% we're up to 2 now. Nice.
Good.
But and now we're down to 1.
Yeah, if you mention these things, it'll be,
I know. Okay then, but oh my God, why am I not? Well, it's just when we think about it, it's Saddam Hussein. On the one hand, he takes Kuwait, and what?
You think about him today.
I can't hear you. What?
If you think about him today, he is a clown.
Yeah.
I mean, you only need to look at the pictures of him or the footage stock that they have. He's a clown.
He's a clown, yeah.
Stalin or Hitler or Mussolini, if they, when they're outside of living memory. How could people fall for that? Dangerous.
But dangerous in the sense of he conquered Kuwait and he was probably considering taking Saudi Arabia, and that would have made him control the entire, made him control the world oil market, and therefore, On the other hand, it was America was genuinely being a dick, because it's we told after the Iran-Iraq war, said, well, you are kind of indebted to the Iraqis to pay. We did kind of agree with the Iraqis that in aiding Iraq in their war against Iran, you would lease your oil fields and Ramallah to them, and then we decided no, on the second thought, you don't have to. And then Saddam Hussein just walked and says, hey, hey, hey. And then Saddam Hussein, what was Saddam Hussein supposed to do? And then, I don't know, which came first, the chicken or the egg when it came to the Gulf War?
Oh, God. Why?
And then, but also like the invasion of Panama. I mean, you could justify it for like one simple reason. It's like Noriega declared a state of war with us, so it's like no, like here's Manuel Noriega, but then and also the fact that, let's be real. I mean, when U.S. forces raided his house, what did they find? Loads of child pornography. So
What?
they found child pornography in his house, and it's not like the night before the invasion, when he should have been with his military commanders somewhere in a bunker, he was with a prostitute.
Saddam Hussein.
No, Noriega.
Sorry.
Yeah, which is not surprising. Like that's basically Noriega. We were going to turn in 2000, if he died. Assuming that he died, if we didn't topple him and he died when he did die, not too long ago, a couple years ago. If he was still in control of Panama in 2000, we would have handed the Panama Canal over to the leader of an organized crime syndicate, basically.
Didn't we already do that?
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't the guy who started the Panama Canal essentially an organized crime syndicate? I have a very low opinion of Theodore Roosevelt.
And I have a very high one.
Yeah. Still need to read Imperial Clues.
Yeah, but Teddy Roosevelt, that Teddy Roosevelt being like, all right, we need a canal for our naval fleet, so we are going to intervene. But
we're going to kick the Colombians out of Panama in order to do that, even though it's kind of very.
And then turn around and say that it was Woodrow Wilson who extended our influence in Latin American affairs.
Well, yeah, that's true. Most of the campaigns which Wilson is blamed for, and I am not a fan of Woodrow Wilson.
No, he's like half
this in the first Roosevelt administration and the Taft administration.
Yeah. Wilson was like half semi-honorable, half total scumbag.
Well, Wilson, I'd venture to say he was a total scumbag.
Yeah. Okay. Like. Yeah, but another thing, it's just like funny going back to Panama, the invasion of Panama. It's just like let's just also think about like how much of like a logistical failure was, in the sense like, all right, we invaded Panama, we overthrew the government. Guillermo Andara has been sworn in at Fort Bragg. We regrettably killed some civilians that have been caught in the crossfire. Well, we basically secured the country. Okay, where's Noriega? Oh, we actually don't know.
That's just weird.
We don't know. And then he eventually somehow finds his way into the Vatican embassy. And it's just like, oh, well, how did you not know that he was making his way over there? Oh, well.
Lots of scumbaggy types find their way into the Vatican embassy. Rather convenient.
And then we just decide to get him out by blasting really loud rock music because he hated rock music. Oh God, no, I could just imagine like future world leaders. They hide like a compound, we get them out by blasting really loudly the Emoji Movie, and just feel like, all right, within 5 seconds. All right, I can't take that movie anymore. I'm done. I confess to everything. Just don't make me watch that movie again.
It's pretty funny. Life is funny. Life is very funny that way.
Yeah, and then of course, going back to, and then the non-war military adventure of the Bush administration, his decision to help with this famine in Somalia.
Oh, good grief.
No, my favorite thing about that is Bush basically was.
Like in the words of Colin Powell, who was, I think, a general at the time.
Well, he was like, well, yeah, he was.
The documentary that he did for that they did for National Geographic about the 90s, he said there was then after this strategic decision was made, perhaps not the best one, to install a democratic government to prevent this sort of thing from happening again.
Yeah, no, but
wow.
Well, the thing I like about that is Bush kept saying like over and over, "Oh, I'm not butthurt that I lost, to Bill Clinton," and then he just does this. It's like, sure, you weren't butthurt.
He just gives him the finger pretty much.
Yeah, he just gives Bill Clinton the middle finger by handing him a military operation in Somalia. And now we have Al Shabaab.
Yeah. Thanks.
And then, it's also interesting, worth noting that like during that operation, because we had a base in Yemen, that's where we loaded everything to be put it onto cargo to go into Somalia. But that was where the first, Al Qaeda's first terrorist attack against the United States in 1992. They ambushed some sort of, was it a truck maybe, that carried, food to be headed over to Somalia.
Which is ironic. Somalia is Muslim.
Yeah.
Jacking the wrong enemy, man. There's a small percentage of them are Christian, but most of the Christians reside just over the border in Ethiopia.
Yeah, well, yeah. I know. I mean, no, but it's just like, no, but the thing, of course, is interesting about like Somalia, of course, is also because everyone was expecting Bush to infuse, the new world order with the collapse of the Soviet Union and the defeat of Iraq, to intervene in Yugoslavia.
And
yeah, and Yugoslavia, no, instead Bill Clinton decides to do that for some whatever reason.
Yeah, and his wife persistently lied about it. We landed under sniper fire. Not only is that disingenuous, but it's also really insulting to the Secret Service. We had to, run through the tarmac because we were under sniper fire.
We landed under sniper fire. Was this in Bosnia in 1995 or Kosovo in 1999?
Bosnia.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, that would make much more sense.
He was lying about it. There were cameras on her the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Another, yeah. Oh boy. Oh. What else about that sort of time period? Maybe like I remember. It's about like the Bush. The thing, of course, the thing about like the Bush administration. Everyone, of course, now says, of course, is his time because he was heading to what?
George Carlin was the only Bush administration that was ever appointed legally in our country.
What? What George Carlin? Because he was.
He said essentially that that the first Bush administration was the only administration of the Bush family that ever held office legally in this country.
No, but like the funny thing is about that is like Michael Dukakis basically screwed himself. Like, here's the thing: if I was Michael Dukakis, I think there was one people said Bush said to Dukakis, said, is America ready to go far left? Even though Michael Dukakis was not far left. Like, if I was Michael Dukakis, I would have just hammered because the thing with because Bush is basically Reagan's Reagan's handpicked successor. Remember, he was the first incumbent vice president to win a presidential election since Martin Van Buren.
That turned out.
Yeah, But the thing is, like Michael Dukakis, like so and there was so much bad with the Reagan administration that managed to be covered up because of the fact that Reagan could just make a beautiful speech on camera before the television and the American audience.
Yeah.
Like if I was Michael, I would have just been like hammered away. It's like, okay, you're Reagan's. Okay, so basically you carry on the Reagan legacy. Okay, well here's the Reagan legacy. Terrible deficits. Terrible deficits. We got the Iran Contra affair. No one seems to care about the AIDS epidemic. Our social services are beginning to crumble. This rebuilt economy is turning into a lie.
The cake is a lie.
Yeah. Yeah. And what does Michael Dukakis do instead? Just take a picture of himself in a tank. Come on, dude. Come on. Michael Dukakis could have won in a lens. Probably could have beat.
Rather like Reagan and Obama have at least one thing in common.
Yeah.
And that, apart from the fact that they each did the opposition, in their own way, they both came out of a time when the country was desperate for change in some measure.
Yeah.
And that's how they won 2 terms each.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, so I mean, like even when it came, of course, of course, Bush eventually, like even like George Bush, when he famously said, what was the speech that made him president? What was the one sentence that made him president? Read my lips, no new taxes. And Michael Dukakis could have easily just said, they said, well, then how are you going to fix this deficit problem? And Bush would have basically said, yeah, I'm just sort of saying that for political purposes, and I know for a fact I'm going to have to raise taxes.
Yeah. I just found this meme on Brandon F's Discord page.
Oh, boy.
It went something like this. Obama blasts Trump's use of tear gas on foreigners, semicolon. Frankly, I would have used a drone strike.
Oh, I saw that, yeah. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I mean, no offense, but this is a man. No offense intended. I would definitely have done the same thing, but this is a guy who took out at least 10,000 terrorists using drones,
and as well as a couple of American civilians.
That's true. So
which
if the man had no conscience, I don't think he'd have any problem with using drone strikes on migrants who kind of just, migrants.
I mean, one thing I will say is, like, I've heard many people say, like, oh, this isn't, people say, like, oh, the Mexicans have even said, like, the migrants were an invasion. I'm thinking to myself, you can't call it an invasion unless they're an army. Which
at least some of them have.
What? I'm sorry.
At least some of them have gone.
Yeah, but
I mean, okay. Would you? Okay, how about this? Would you call? Let's just say the mafia shows up, and at least some of them have guns, and they just take over New York. That's kind of the situation in that place, Tijuana.
Did they really like just take over, like, to start running Tijuana? I don't know.
Yeah, it's something like that, because the mayor of Tijuana actually has like a parody of Trump's. No, I don't think it's parody, actually. I think it's like literally kind of a ripoff of it, and it says "Make Tijuana Great Again."
Oh boy! Yeah. Oh boy!
With the white trim, everything.
But anyway, speaking of which, everyone, a lot of people are now being lambasted. It's like, oh, Trump didn't go to Barbara Bush's funeral, but we'll go to this one. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, it's not customary for the sitting president to attend the funeral
of a previous president's wife.
Yeah, it's like the president. Yeah, you don't attend. A sitting president does not attend the funeral two first ladies died during the Obama administration. You know, Betty Ford, Nancy Reagan. I don't think he attended either of their funerals.
And when the actor died, he didn't even send a friend to visit.
Well, the sitting first lady always attends, as well as the former presidents and their first ladies.
No, what I'm saying is when what's her name? When Margaret Thatcher died, I don't think he sent anyone.
I don't know. Did Margaret Thatcher come herself when Reagan died, or because I know like she had, by that point in time she had started her health had started to fade. So
yeah, I think she went to Reagan's funeral.
Well, I know she did do like the eulogy.
Yeah.
It's so.
That was in 1990. That was in like 2000. So
2000. He died June 5th, 2004. Yeah, because Bush was in France commemorating the 60th anniversary of D-Day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you've seen any of the speeches that Reagan's given in Normandy, they're actually kind of good.
Well, Reagan was a terrific speech maker.
It's true, but I mean, for the 40th anniversary, those were quite profound.
Well, yeah, I say this before. It's like, you know, there will probably, you know, like of every president, because the first, you know, since Herbert Hoover, you know, people say it was actually FDR who started it. It was, you know, Herbert Hoover, I think, first did live, you know, radio broadcast the American people. But from Herbert Hoover on, you know, I think, you know, probably we will never find, you know, such communicators as like Ronald Reagan or FDR. Those were. Yeah, what?
Nothing. Irrelevant.
Yeah, but even like people say, like because you know I've seen like you know other like you know speeches to the nation like you know Obama sounds way too polished for me to feel comfortable. Trump can't you know Trump sounds like sounds like he's trying to mimic Reagan and just fails miserably. And then of course you know Bush and his Bushisms. You know, one thing I was saying before, make like this big mockery of because I saw this report of you know supermarkets in Venezuela because there's like no food in like any of the Venezuelan supermarkets because inflation's hit like 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
And like I made a joke, I was just like you know because
the United States were preventing Venezuela from becoming socialist.
Well, yeah, you know, one, you know, I suppose Venezuela.
If I recall properly, we did not take Pat Robertson's advice and off your hero Chavez. We didn't take that. We didn't take his advice. We didn't clip the guy.
Well, for one thing, it's like, well, many Venezuelans, you know, starting, you know, there's like a certain degree of truth to Venezuelans' claims that like the United States, like is good notice because like Venezuela has been dealing with inflation ever since the Dutch disease in the 80s when the Saudi and American governments would artificially like do what was the Dutch disease? They would do something with oil prices to rack up inflation in countries that were allied with the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
I don't know if Venezuela was a Soviet ally in the 80s. I don't know what.
Well, Chavez took power probably in the late 70s.
Well, yeah, no, more like late 1990s, early 2000s. Because let's see, because he first tried to take power in like a coup in 1992, which failed. But he galvanized his support and he won the election. And then there was like the CIA-backed coup to try and overthrow him in 2002.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I would think, you know, because now that we're talking about, you know, the main legacy was supposed to be Bush, you know, in his administration, is because he was the only president who'd been head of the CIA. Central Intelligence Agency, my ass. Like, what sort of intelligence do they do? You know what the actual, you know what it actually ought to be named? Coup Instigation Agency. The Coup Instigation Agency, that's really what it is.
Yeah.
The Coup Instigation.
And we get when Russia supposedly launches their coup in the United States.
Yeah.
I don't see any of these people. I don't see anyone at CNN or MSNBC or even Fox batting an eye when we do that.
Well, it's just.
Young Turks.
I haven't. I don't really. I don't really. Pay too much following of. I don't really follow the Young Turks, but I haven't. Yeah. So, but.
Fucking eyelid on that.
Yeah. What? Yeah. But it's interesting. Like even speaking with CIA, there's another legacy. I don't know if this is so much. I suppose Bush was head of CIA during the peak of Operation Condor. Was when Bush was head of CIA. Like George Bush was like the mastermind of like the Argentinian dirty war.
Yeah. Going to life the death penalty, and therefore the death squad. So when they're talking about right to life, they're talking about whose right it is that they choose who gets to. They're the ones who get to choose who lives and who dies. That's George Bush, by the way.
Yeah. But I don't know, because people said like I don't know if I necessarily would blame Bush for that or Ford.
I'd blame things, but South American death squads is not one of them. I'd blame what happened in East Timor and Cambodia.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. You might want to have to stay close to the camera for me to hear you.
South American death squads is not something I'd blame Gerald Ford for. I'd venture to blame him for Cambodia and what happened in East Timor.
But yeah, well, I mean, to be Operation Condor. I think the first hints was probably it officially started under Johnson, but I mean the first hints was when Dwight, we must guard against the military-industrial complex. Eisenhower had the military-industrial complex overthrow the government of Guatemala.
Yes.
Like a lot of the Cold War presidents, except for maybe Bush, because by the time he became president, the Cold War was basically about to collapse. They all do one. They all say one thing and then do another. In particular, like Eisenhower and Kennedy, which is why I never understand all of these JFK conspiracy theorists who are like, we talked about this before. It's like JFK was going to expose the CIA. Then why did he have the CIA assassinate No Diem Diem?
Yeah. And once he heard about Gap's death, he said, "I cannot believe the Americans are so stupid." We were really dumb in that war.
No, but the funny thing is, like, even like the Gulf of Tonkin incident, like just right prior to that, Lyndon Johnson got a report that said, yeah, there's no way South Vietnam is going to win this.
Yeah.
Like the funny, like the only like No Diem Diem was probably like the only leader who might have been able to have beaten the Viet Cong, and that's a big stretch.
Through his iron fist tactics.
Yeah, and then we just decided to get rid of him.
Yeah, that was a highly dumb move on our part. I know. I'm not even being full. I'm not being fallacious.
I know. It's like it was a dangerously stupid move.
Yeah, and dangerously irrational too.
Yeah. But dangerously irrational, and hope. I suppose another I'm doing is people I've recently have called George Herbert Walker Bush the last foreign policy president. I don't know, because foreign policy is which is what he was specialized in. What ultimately, because I think one reason, because George Herbert Walker Bush gets like his ideal presidency, which is like a lot of foreign policy events, but then again, of course, he ignores domestic policy events. And of course, one thing even in the 1992 election, Bill Clinton hammered him on was because as the economy was rising as a result of Bush fixing the deficits of the Reagan years, so was the unemployment rate. And Clinton was like, hey,
It's
This
the,
is the thing. What?
it's the economy, stupid.
Yeah.
This
It's
time,
like,
that time. This.
yeah, it's like, yeah, and basically, uh, said some, um, oh god, what was I going to say? But, and then like, and for foreign policy, uh, even with the the collapse of the the collapse of the Soviet Union, like like George Bush's response to the sort of math approach to the fall, the collapse of the Berlin Wall.
Yeah, that was
Like one, yeah, well, I mean, one interesting thing going back to what I was saying before, which was my main point about the things in Venezuela. Anyway, because Yeltsin was a hardline communist, and what changed his mind when he went to an American supermarket and he saw all the food,
yeah.
and he was like, like we need capitalism in in the Soviet Union.
Because otherwise the economy will collapse and we'll have total anarchy. Oh wait, that'll happen once we have capitalism in the Soviet Union because our people have no idea how to spend money.
That and the fact that like Yeltsin was also like like go back to drinking vodka, Boris.
Yeah, he was a little weird.
Yeah, but like I once made this joke because like this was a very famous time. Like yes, George Bush and Boris Yeltsin together in the supermarket, and Bush Bush says to Boris says, see, you people are completely out of touch with the reality of what's good. And oh my God, is that an automatic scanner? Like there was a very famous time when Bush was in a supermarket and he saw the scanner and he's like, oh wow, this is cool. I never see one. Everyone's looking at him like, Mr. President, we've had these forever. The automatic when you go to the the barcode scanners. When you go and
Yeah.
And Bush is like, oh, I've never seen this is cool. And everyone's looking like, dude, we've had these, like, whoops.
Had these since at least the 1960s.
Whoops. Oh my God.
Somebody put up a quote on Brandon's Discord page as well, and it says, gunpowder is just angry sand.
Gunpowder is just angry stand? Stand.
Yeah.
Let me see if anyone put any more comments down. Nope, no one did.
Yeah. Should we cut it off now?
I mean, we can, but I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, we've talked about everything pertaining to the 41st, George Bush.
Yeah. Oh, Austerlitz is today, 2/13.
What?
Battle of Austerlitz, 2/13th anniversary.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
No, wait, that wasn't the battle that ended the War of the Third Coalition. It was like, there was like another follow-up battle, I think it was.
It was like a tiny skirmish.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the battle that ended the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, the coalition had no chance of recovering from that kind of blow.
Yeah, no, they didn't. Yeah, we could cut it off.
All right.
All right. I mean, I know you have probably have schoolwork to do and everything. And
Yeah.
okay, see you around then.
Yeah.
Bye. Yeah, okay. For everyone who is listening, that was Gaslight Studio. Subscribe to his channel. Very good. And yes, that was my take on the legacy of George Herbert Walker Bush and other things. And okay, bye.